Hi everyone, welcome to today's video. So every day I have made it my habit to start with Seth Godin's This is Strategy, this book that he has just released, and it is a buzz. Everyone is talking about it. So everyone is talking about it in the world of strategy, in the world of business. So I'm also a fan of Seth, so I also like it. And at the back of the book, there are these 12 concepts that he highlights. And every day when I wake up, before I do anything, it's either I read through these 12 pieces, these 12 points, or I just think about them. I just remind myself about them. The good thing about this is that even when you're far much behind, if you feel like you are far from starting, that say it's already too late or you can't start right now because maybe you're feeling there's a lot that people have done out there, so you feel quite left behind, this is a good place to start, knowing that you are at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. So just listen to this. Today is your best chance to improve tomorrow. Like, let's not talk about tomorrow, let's not talk about the future. Today is your best chance to improve tomorrow. The future comes one day at a time. The audience can be chosen. Don't play games you can't win. Projects can be managed. We make decisions. A difference can be made. Assets can be built. Networks can be created. Traction is the way forward. Sunk costs can be ignored. Information changes systems. You're not sitting in traffic, you are traffic. So if you're sitting in traffic, if you think that there's a lot of traffic, just remember you're the traffic. So if you just read through this every single day in your business, if you just read through this every single time you walk into your work area, it will motivate you to do better. It will motivate you to do more in terms of what you can achieve within a day. And it will also motivate you to know that yes, there's so many challenges that we face every single day, but the beauty and the essence of it is that there's always, when the sun goes up, that's an opportunity to start again, that's an opportunity to create again, that's an opportunity to do better. So that's why I like this book. I like this book, and actually one of the programs that I have this year is centered around that book, and we're going to start in February. So just like that book. So yes, welcome to the Human Algorithm of Things season 3. This is episode 4. So we're really trying based on the fact that there's so many things that I would rather do at this point in time. I am dedicating myself to building my brand. I'm dedicating myself to building my business brand and also myself through this content. So this is something I'm doing intentionally. I'm saying I'm going to commit to this. Why? Because I know brand building is real and this is where we're going. And if you're being left out, this is the best chance to get started. Whether it's in your business, whether it's in your personal, just make it intentional. That's what I'm saying. So today we're going to look at the changing business landscape. Today we're going to look at the changing business landscape. As usual, you know that every time I'm looking this direction, I'm just trying to refer from my laptop, from the notes that I've written for this episode. So don't be surprised by the fact that I keep checking here, just to ensure that I don't go off script or just go all, digress too much and still focus on what I was supposed to talk about today. So today we're going to look at the changing business landscape, and this is tied to one of the courses that I have for this year, but just hear me out today. So if you're new here, my name is Diana. I'm a certified strategic manager. I also have a background in public relations and advertising. I started my firm, public relations firm, back in 2023. We have just clocked a year and some months in business. We have worked with different organizations, different individuals since then, and I'm glad that we're growing by the day and we're not stopping, and the future looks bright. So that's who I am and that's what I do. So some of the things that we do at DPR is brand management. We do program or project coordination. We do product development. We are involved in the product development cycle, and then also we do training. So some of the upcoming trainings that we have at the moment are in public speaking, the sales handbook, becoming, this is strategy, the one that we started this episode with, then brand building course, mastery, then finally futuristic. And futuristic is what's going to form the basis of today's discussion, because we're going to look at why did I even decide to have this program in the first place, and then it's also going to eat into some of the content of this episode, because today we're going to look at the business landscape, what's changing, what we should look into, and how then can we build sustainable businesses. As usual, my target audience is usually young founders, aspiring entrepreneurs already in the game, just within 5 years or so. But it is open to everyone who can pick out something from this episode and say, Dana, you have empowered me in one way or another, or you have reminded me to get started on something. So that is usually my aim and my essence. So today's episode, we're going to look at the ever-changing dynamic business landscape, and how then can we look into building sustainable businesses. How do we build sustainable businesses into the future? There's so much that we can look at. The futuristic course looks at the future of work, building sustainable ventures and the new disruptive shared economy, leading for the future, strategy development and implementation. Those are the things that we look at in the futuristic course. And this is a program that runs for 6 months. 6 months, every week we have one session. So from there, this is just how would I call it, a sneak peek of what happens within the futuristic program and what we discuss in that area. And because it's not just theories, we like to engage people, we like to hear different perspectives from different people. So that forms why we are going to look at, basing on say 25 top companies in the world, what they do. That would be our guiding light. How would I say? Is that something? That would be our guiding factor, looking at some of the best companies and what they do, and how we can bring in local perspective. So that's it. Some of the areas that we're going to look at is, I for one advocate for people to run their businesses. I advocate for entrepreneurship because for one reason, we were created by a creator who encourages us to be in tune with him, in the sense that we can also co-create with him, so that we can impact lives through our businesses, we can impact lives through our work. So that's why I like entrepreneurship, and I like what business does. So business significantly impact the economy by creating jobs, driving innovation, generating wealth, contributing to tax revenue, fostering competition, and facilitating global trade, ultimately contributing to overall economic growth and prosperity. What we're looking at here is basically saying that it is out of the business activities that spears, say, innovation, spears, say, AI. So these are not things that are just happening. These are things that have been necessitated by businesses themselves. So we are the ones who bring in the innovation that we're talking about. We're bringing in the AI that we're talking about. So we cannot be replaced. But what I have noticed is that in this current economy, or in this current world, anything that is irrelevant is pushed out. Anything that does not make sense, the system automatically pushes you out. So what it means by this is that in the digital economy, if you want to survive in the next, say, 10 years in business, you have to innovate. Innovation has to be at the center of everything that you do, so that every day when you wake up, that is the first thing you're thinking of, like, how can we make our systems better? How can we make our products better? How can we be more efficient? How can we be more effective? So if you're not thinking about that and you're saying, because everything is working, then we don't need to change anything, then sooner rather than later, you'll find yourself in a very deep hole, because you see that things change rapidly. And if you're not always looking around, we're saying we're focusing on our businesses like this, but we also have our eyes outside, looking at what is going on in the market, what is going on, what are the trends, what are the consumer behaviors. We are looking at all these things. Why? Because that is what builds a sustainable business. So contrary to previous notion where you just build your business and pray to God that it remains there, because there's always, when you get started, like the way I got started, there's usually this plan that you have already, and then once you're in business, you now start to iterate, tweak, and just refine everything. Then that means there's no ever a single day where you'll decide, okay, now I'm just standing still. There's nothing like that. You have to even get someone. If you can't do it on your own, or maybe you're busy in other things, get someone else to look at your business and look at the business environment, and just be keen on getting opportunities or capturing opportunities once they present themselves, and knowing the challenges and the risk factors and all these other things, because that speaks volumes about how prepared you are for the future. I've come to learn life is not always let's just wait for things to erupt, or let's wait for things to happen. We're going to be proactive about our growth. We're going to be proactive about growing our businesses. We're going to be proactive about building a sustainable business, building a sustainable brand, because our lives depends on it. So the business landscape is a dynamic one, as I've mentioned. It is as a result of the competitive nature within the business space that businesses are focusing on improving quality, lowering prices, and innovating to attract customers. So the lowering prices bit, I'm not going to dwell so much on that, but the fact is, you need to always look at, how can I improve my quality, how can I improve my services. We're seeing so many business come up every single day. If you're not able to balance between what you're doing right now and just having a foresight of what is going to come in the future, then sometimes you find yourself having outdated products, having people don't align no longer with your vision or your mission, because you have not focused on what is coming ahead, or what people are now doing. And it's not that you need to jump on all the trends. You just have to look at, if I was helping people to achieve this goal, what other factors are arising that could help in, partnering with other organizations, or improving some of the products that we have or services, or even adding new products in your portfolio, just so that you can align yourself with the changing times. So that is what we're going to look at today. It is interesting to know that Africa claims the top 3 spots in the Mastercard index for the highest concentration of women business owners in the world. So I really liked this, and I said I had to just find somewhere to put this. So women, this is so good. This is so encouraging to know that more and more women are getting into business. More and more women are getting hands-on, because we are now participating in the economic development through creation of jobs, driving innovation, generating wealth. Someone would say, don't talk about wealth, don't talk about making money. The African setup is kind of funny. There are certain things that were so hidden, sexuality, money, and all these things. All these things are not crimes. They are good things. Creating wealth is a good thing. Yeah, so I'm happy to know that more and more women are getting into entrepreneurship, because that means we are also being part of the growing economy. So that is something that we need to look into, and we're no longer considering ourselves as marginalized, but we're also taking the mantle and taking it upon ourselves to actually build these sustainable businesses. So this is a report by the Business in Africa Narrative Report. So it is a project that was done in collaboration between Africa No Filter and ACAS, AKAS. So despite having more entrepreneurs than any other region globally, now we're talking about Africa, less than 10% of business in Africa coverage references these entrepreneurs. So what in essence they're saying, despite having more entrepreneurs than any other region globally, less than 10% of business in Africa coverage references these entrepreneurs. Coverage of creative businesses in Africa is almost non-existent. So this is just looking at how much coverage we're getting from, say, in entrepreneurship. Yet right now, more than ever, we have the privilege of the new media, where it allows us to air our own stories, talk about our own businesses, talk about our wins, talk about all these things. But you find that in Africa, only 10% is covered, say, in mainstream media, and yet you find most of it is covered, or a huge chunk is taken by government, or say how good governance, policy, and all these things, and what is happening in government and other things. But yet you find more and more people within Africa or African states are seeking out entrepreneurial content. So that means we need to step up and talk more about entrepreneurship, talk more about starting businesses, starting sustainable businesses, talking more about the challenges, creating, say, a community where people can actually tap into knowledge and actually talk about these things, because this is the future. This is what we as Africans are hoping to get into. We have also seen the Afkufta. How then can we leverage that if we are silent about entrepreneurship? We're silent about creating value in our different economies. So the new media therefore gives us a platform or a channel like this one that I'm talking today, for us to talk about our businesses and our wins, and we need to take advantage of that. The thing is, instead of waiting for the media to air our stories, instead of waiting for media coverage, that's mainstream media that I'm talking about, we can see that there's a shift in how professionals in the communication space are working. You find that we're no longer reacting, but we are proactive, so that we don't wait for media people to come to us. We create our own stories. We have our own media. We have our own media department where we just talk about what we do, the progress and all that, not just for the sake of being captured on news, but also for our stakeholders and our customers. So that is the shift that we're seeing, both in say entrepreneurship and also in the comms space. That's why I said my target audience also includes communication professionals. So it's no longer about trying to bribe or trying to beg a reporter to air your story. You now get into a habit of creating valuable content for your organization that can even attract a national audience, that attracts national viewing, or is valuable for the news editors to eventually publish your story or get it be talked about in the national space. So that's how we steer business conversations. That's how we steer business transformation through the stories that we create within our organizations. So how business are run is changing. Consumers are now expecting businesses to look beyond just making profits. So this is just me getting you into this episode. This is what we're going to look at. So previously, it was so hard for you to know what's going on, or it was so hard for you to even figure out what consumers are looking for. And now with the algorithms and all that, it's easy for you to segment your audience, and it's easy for you to understand what kind of audience you're seeking, especially your primary audience. So in addition to that, consumers have also gotten so many opportunities or so many options. And this is something I mention in every content that I create, that consumers no longer have just one area or one particular place that they go to get, say, service or product. They have so many. So it has gone beyond just selling, because at this moment you find that it's good that you have a business and you can sell something, but it has gone beyond that to a point where consumers are more vigilant. They are more concerned about other things other than the product itself. They're more concerned about connecting with the audience. They're connecting with your business at a more intimate space, where they don't just look at, okay, I got this. How then is your business? How are you a good neighbor as a business? How are you supporting, say, the vulnerable? How are you supporting the environment? How are you ensuring that because you have the capacity to change or to influence policy decisions, how are you influencing governance? So these are some of the things that are coming to play, and because consumers are keen on such businesses that are spearheading such social issues, you find we are not just selling products anymore. And if you're still just selling products, I don't know how long you have, because the world that we're living in, things are changing by the day. So we are now moving to social issues sensitive businesses. It's not just capitalism, because people kept on saying capitalism is a bad thing and people should not be allowed to create or to do their own stuff. And that is understandable, because when you go back to history and see how things were done, especially businesses were done, you'd find that they were done at the detriment of the consumer or the laborers, so that profit or success was just limited to a few individuals. But that really shifted, because now we're seeing more and more people getting into business. We're seeing solopreneurs. So it's just a matter of now, how are you creating impact beyond profits? How are you? And such things come to play, because it's not just enough to create products. How then are you sustainable? Where are you even getting your raw materials? Are you exploiting some individual somewhere for you to get a profit? So it's somehow creating this joint shared prosperity of some sort, and that's where now the future is headed. So there's also this 61% globally have a moderate or high sense of grievance, which is defined by a belief that government and business make their lives harder and serve narrow interests, and wealthy people benefit unfairly from the system. So you see the whole issue of capitalism that people have now been more aware of. Remember, we're not talking about stupid consumers. We're talking about people who are well learned, and people can see through such things now. Initially, it was just without the new media, people would walk away or would get away with so many issues, so many things. But right now, even you can attest to the fact that if someone is experiencing, say, exploitation at work, it's easy for someone to just take a video of that action and put it online, and people just go wild with it. So we are moving in a world where people will be seeking transparency from organizations, from organizational leaders, and even from how we do our things as business people. So when you look at this is actually from Edelman, I think so. Yes, when you look at what they say by serving narrow interests, it means that that those people who try to make sustainable seem cute, like it's going to give you umbrellas because it's raining, so get umbrellas and that's it. So people don't really value this narrow interest anymore. People want to see how much impact you're making within the environment or within the society that you're in as a business. So first, we're going to look at building sustainable businesses. So today we're not just about selling. As I've said, business goes beyond that. So we have our products. I usually talk about product and service, because once you figure out what your product is or what your service is, then it's easy for you to create value and be relentless about your consumers, so that if your consumers want this, you need to rationalize, can I create or can I inject something that is in line with what my consumer wants, or is it that the consumer also does not understand what they want? So that is the essence. Building a product or building a service has gone beyond just having something to sell, but it is now tied to a philosophy or a purpose. So if you have a strong purpose, if you have a strong philosophy, then that determines how much you're going to be accepted in the market, for the sense that it it will speak about your product more than just selling it. It's not just about promotions. I don't want to focus so much on that because this is not the video for it. So once you found a goal that people want to achieve, and that is a goal that so many people want to achieve, and people actually have the capacity to buy the solution to achieve that goal, you have kind of moved a step forward in the business, getting a business that is sustainable. But then now you go ahead to see, how then can I impact, how then can I work with my stakeholders from the time I get started till the end? So this is a journey of working with your stakeholders. We're not just selling products, we're working with our stakeholders. And stakeholders, I mean customers, I mean suppliers, I mean investors, I mean partners, I mean employees, every other person, leadership, board, and everything. You work with them and provide value for each and every one of them, so that none of them feels like they're priced, or none of them feels like they're being exploited. So today's products and services are a hallmark of innovation. What that means is that every single day, that's what I mentioned earlier, every single day when you wake up, you're thinking about, how can I improve my services, how can I improve my product, how can I innovate, how can I make my systems more efficient, how can I become more effective as a leader. Those are things that need to run, you need to have like running in your mind every other time, so that you can be in a position to innovate. And you cannot innovate when you haven't started. There are people who think they can innovate without even getting started. You have to get started first before you innovate, because you have to learn the market, learn consumer behavior, learn everything first before you can actually come up with an innovation that is disruptive. And sometimes let's not look at innovation as a very scary monster. It's just changing things to ensure that things work better. That's what innovation is about. So it requires a lot of creativity, and it also requires a lot of patience. So businesses serve as hubs of innovation pegged on research and development, continuously striving for novel solutions, pioneering cutting-edge products, and enhancing operational efficiency. This relentless pursuit not only boosts productivity and competitiveness, but also drives economic progress. So that is, I'm just putting it in a nutshell, that is what innovation actually breeds. Then we have building systems, processes, just so you can expand your operations. So first of all, this research and development that we've seen is quite crucial when it comes to innovating. And then what you need to do is, because you have your product, then you have your systems and processes. The thing about enhancing your systems and processes is, you've been selling products. Now it reaches a point where we want to improve how many people we're serving. So if we were able to serve 10 people with this current ways or operations or how we do our things, then we're thinking of how then can we enhance these systems, how then can we enhance these processes, so that we can serve more people within a short period of time. So that's how we expand our operations in general. So what building a sustainable business means is that you're trying to build something that can operate without you there. Let's imagine if, you leave town, for 2 months, or you leave a place, for just 1 week. Will your business really operate? Will you still have customers? Will you still project, if you've been projecting, 10 clients, if you're selling a high value product, you have 10 clients per week, which serves almost over millions. So if you leave the country, or you just disappear for 2 months, will that projection still remain, or you'll still get excuses after excuses? That's how you know if you're building a sustainable business or not, because you're now thinking of systems and processes and how to get people to align with these systems and processes, rather than pegging it on, every day people have to think of how to do something. Every day people have to it's just pegged on people. In essence, people are very important because they're the ones who drive change or drive the connection that we have within business and people. But in essence, do you have systems, do you have processes in place where if, say, an employee gets a better opportunity, because they'll always get better opportunities, can you get someone else, and how long does it take for that whole process of recruitment, onboarding, to finally them getting comfortable enough to deliver? So that's what systems and processes are here for, to help or to do for your business. So we have continuous training. So top companies prioritize training their employees over and over and over and over and over. Why? Because they understand that you don't say, I don't want to train them because they'll leave. What if you don't train them and they stay? So continuous training is very important to just get people to know better, or to be helped or to be supported in their roles, so that they can also get career progression, as well as they can also achieve career progression, as well as become masters in their craft and serve better, serve your customers better, serve your business better. So that's why training is very important. If you don't train your employees, you're kind of missing out on a huge chunk of operations, because they are the ones who talk with the clients, they're the ones who run the systems and processes. So if you don't train them, I don't know. Yeah, so that is one of them. So one we've looked at innovation. Innovation is very important. That is something that keeps on running for every founder, I'd say. So we have brand building. Number 2 is brand building. So what is your identity? So brand building is, what is your identity? Who are you and what do you stand for? That is just your brand identity. And we mentioned that it's not just about selling. This is me, this is my mission, this is my vision. This is my vision, is to do this, my mission is this. And this is how I achieve my vision, in essence. So who are you and what do you stand for? And that's what forms branding. That's what forms branding. That's what determines how you market your products. That's what determines how you show up, say, in every area. So brand building is very important, not just for businesses, but for individuals. So the thing is, brand building, as much as it's very important, sometimes you feel like you do not have the time for it. So these are some of the traps that you find most entrepreneurs or businesses find themselves in. Say, I do not have the time. We are making sales. What else do we need? Waiting for the perfect time, inability to capacity build you and your team to participate in the digital economy. It is too expensive. You think you are too small to work on your brand. So these are some of the things that you find most people. These are some of the biggest objections that you get from most businesses when you talk about brand building. They feel like this is just something for Apple or for these bigger brands. It's not just something for any other small brand to work on. And remember, we looked at the number 10%. That's 10% of coverage that businesses get. Why do you think it's so? Because not so many businesses are focusing on brand building. We're just focusing on selling. We're focusing on selling, the numbers and all that. But we're forgetting that brand building is what will shed our businesses in rainy seasons. So think about it this way. If you build your brand, if you build a brand around your business, in short, you are preparing yourself for any, say, risk factors, or, sometimes we say, oh, we don't wish for them to happen, but they will happen. They will happen eventually. So we can't turn a blind eye and say, because we don't wish for bad things to happen, then they will not happen. So in the eventuality that we experience such issues, in the eventuality that we experience data protection issues or data breach, how do we protect our businesses from that? It is through the consistent brand building formula that we had created initially that will help us to even have something to remain with. The same thing, ask yourself, if I were to leave my business today, will it be a business, or is the business pegged on me? Or is my business just me? Or is my business a whole system? Do I document these things that are done so that anyone can help me to achieve my vision? Not that I'm the one holding the vision, 10 years down the line, I'm still holding the vision. Am I able to create or to build better leaders within my business? Or am I able to expand in other regions and still have a similar... This book, what is it called? The E-Myth Revisited. I think that's the best book that any entrepreneur, if you are into books or you like reading books, that would be the best book that you'd ever read, because it talks about building sustainable businesses and talks about how you can replicate your business in whichever area that you are in, and thinking about your business in that light, thinking about it in the light that I need to open branches in several places. So it means I have to create systems and processes, just like KFC, McDonald's, and such corporations where you find they have different branches, but they still deliver the same thing. So that is the aspect. That is something about brand building. A promise that your customer knows that you will keep whenever they interact with you. So there's never a good time. There's never a good time to start doing brand building. Brand building starts from today. The moment you watch this video, get on with brand building. Even what I'm doing right now is just building my brand personally and also my business brand, because I know that it is very, very important. It's a shade in the dark times. So if you're not able to do it, that's why we're here. That's why we're here to support our businesses in terms of helping you focus on work while we focus on building your brand, because these things go hand in hand. It's the same for succession, it's the same for expansion or scaling your business. It's something that you'd always want to do, but there's always something that makes you not to do it. There's always reasons, but you know in the eventually you have to do it. So these are just some of the things. So brand building is also another issue when it comes to building a sustainable business. You want to build something that even your grandchildren can still benefit from your business. And that's what mostly happens within the African setup, that we only have businesses that are run within, say, a particular period of time, and we fold and we go home. We don't build businesses that last, because we don't focus on, say, innovation. We don't focus on brand building. For us, it's just about making the money today and going home. We always have to make money today and set aside some time, set aside some resources for brand building, set aside some resources for innovation, set aside some resources to just work on building a sustainable business. So we've looked at innovation, we've looked at brand building. So then finally, we're going to look at sustainability and why sustainability is a buzzword, but are you sustainable as a business? So consumers are now more concerned about purpose-driven businesses. We are going back to people, our core identities. So it's not just about selling products. We've already looked at that and we've put that aside. So we've seen that consumers, unlike the previous times, they're not more concerned about the narrow interests that people used, or organizations or companies used to serve us. Businesses are now looking at deeper issues. Are you sensitive to the world around you, for example? So we're looking at, so I put an example of Equity Bank. You can take some time to look at how Equity Bank has grown over the years exponentially, and it's because Equity Bank goes with its audience. It goes with its customers. It grows with its stakeholders, and that is the essence, the epitome of sustainability. That you're not just about profits, you're about stakeholder engagement, stakeholder involvement, stakeholder input. You are working with your stakeholder in every step of your journey. So investigate the rise and growth of this bank. You might not like it, you may not be a customer, or you may not even like what they do, or you don't like the people there, but look at how they incorporate stakeholder management or stakeholder engagement in all their operations. Like, they are heavy when it comes to a CISR, and that is have I said CISR? They are heavy when it comes to CSR, corporate social responsibility. They are so heavy on that, and they are committed to that. Why? Because they have understood that it's not just about profits, it's about purpose. What are we driving? What are we bringing? What's the impact? Sometimes you have to ask yourself, if my business were to be closed today, would anyone miss me? Would anyone miss my business? would anyone miss my operations? Because if you're always focusing on profits, no one would miss you. No one would even think of you, because they'll just go to the next person. But there's that emotional aspect of running a business where it's not just about selling, it's about building communities, building resilient communities for that matter. So that's where sustainability comes to play. And one thing that I wanted to mention, right now, so many of us know that selling is about emotions and all this. But just think about it for a second. If selling is about emotions and all that, and people already know, so it's about how valuable is your product. Yes, you're going to be touched on my emotions and everything. That's why I'm saying we're living in a world where consumers are so empowered. So empowered. They know the sales process. They know the marketing process. You cannot fool anyone in that. So the thing is, even if it's about emotions and all that, are you actually addressing the right things? Are you addressing the issues that are affecting your community? You can't just wake up and say, I'm going to be touching on climate action, or to focus on climate action as a way of sustainability in my business. You need to look at who are your consumers, and how best what are they like. When you're concerned more about what concerns your consumers, then you are a step forward in finding how you can fit in the sustainability roadmap. Because it's not just picking anything, I'm going to empower women. Why even empowering women? You need to have a purpose behind it, and a purpose is always enshrined or deeply rooted in the moment you start your business and the people that you serve. That's how you create value. So yesterday I was watching a reality show, and I like reality shows. So yesterday I was watching a reality show, and this woman is in real estate. So she serves the Black community. So that is a reality show based in the US. So I think they're based in Miami. Yes. So she was serving the Black community. She was talking about how not so many real estate agents or real estate brokerage are centered around the Black community. So one of the things that she decided to work on, one of the initiatives that she got into, was to build sustainable, affordable housing for the Black community within the area that she was working. Do you see how it's easy for you to find what matters to your consumers by just aligning yourself with your consumers, aligning with yourself, your mission, your vision, and your products and services with your consumers? Because at the end of the day, they're the ones, the consumers or stakeholders are the ones that help you to navigate different circumstances in your business, not just working in a vacuum. In sustainability, we're going to look at the ESG framework. The ESG framework is the environmental impact, social or labor practices, and then governance. So that forms the ESG, the environmental, social, and governance issues. So those forms the sustainable issues that are talked about majorly, but there's still so many other things other than that. So these by participating in either or supporting either of these, say, environmental issues or environmental impact, social issues like labor practices, or governance, good governance for that matter, you just simply demonstrate a commitment to sustainability, so that it's not enough. So once you've said I am supporting, say, either of these, it's just not enough to say I'm in this. You have to demonstrate, and also you have to show, preach it, because it's not just, there's a time I was working with someone, and they were, as an organization, they were hoping to run a charity drive, say, where was it? I can't really remember. That was in 2023. So I told them, there's how much we need to have publicity for this, and they were like, no, tenda wema nenda zako. And it's Africans, we need to get out of this idea where wealth is a bad thing, sexuality is a bad thing, that we need not to talk about such things. The same way in business, how you're running your business. Yes, we understand you're a typical African, and you are very modest. You're very modest and very humble, down to earth for that matter. But the thing is, if you do not publicize what you do, the impact is not felt. in the sense that even those people who are supposed to be helped, say you're running a medical camp in a place and not so many people know about it, how much impact will it create, or how will that initiative be a success if not even the people who are supposed to benefit from it do not know that it's actually happening at that moment in time. So the thing is, you need to work on being part of the solution within a society, but you also need to preach about it as much as you can, because by preaching about it, you're not just demonstrating that you're committed to sustainability. You are bolstering your reputation. You're bolstering a good reputation for your organization. Number two, you're attracting socially conscious consumers and investors. So you're attracting people who will support you the more. The more people know you're about this, the more people will come and support you. The more you get even the money to run such projects. But if you're just hiding and you don't want people to know, there's no such thing as being modest. When you want to support people, when you want to help people, there's no such thing about being modest, unless you have it for ill motive or something. So then it helps you to differentiate yourself from competitors. So being part of supporting the ESG framework actually puts you at a pedestal where you cannot be competing with those who are only focusing on profits. And then it helps to mitigate risks, and because mitigating risks is that you are getting involved in something that could actually even kill your business in the first place. So let's think about this for a second. You are running you want to start a school in an area, and you realize that most parents in that area are not for, say, modern learning, or maybe they do not appreciate some form of modern schooling or something. You going ahead to empower your stakeholders by empowering these parents to understand the value of learning and the value of education is also meant to help you remain in business, because how will you get them to release their children to go to school if they do not see the value of your business in the first place, or do not see the value of your education that you want to offer their children? So that is how you mitigate risks, through involving yourself in such things. Let's look at policy making, for example. If your business is always saying, I'm turning a blind eye, I don't want to I don't want to watch news, I don't want to see what's happening, let me just focus on my business and everything. Instead, you should be watching news, seeking out opportunities to create strategic partnership for, say, solving a problem within your environs. So that is just to help you to mitigate, because if something bad is happening with your neighbor, it's probably going to happen to you. So if you turn a blind eye and say, I'm not going to be involved, it's like saying, I'm just waiting for my turn to die as a business. So then finally, you can also tap into new markets and expand in existing markets by involving yourself in some of the ESG framework that we've talked about: environmental impact, social or labor practices, then good governance. You're also showing, or you're demonstrating to those people who may be concerned or are passionate or are keen on spearheading such initiatives, to become part of you, to become part of your stakeholder group and such things. So some other issues or concerns affecting people today include data protection, diversity and equality, fair employment practices. We've also talked about that. We've seen there's also transparency, ethical decision making, leadership, and good governance. So for me, I'm usually also passionate about leadership and good governance, because without that, I don't know if you have a business. So that's it. So those are some of the areas that you can also consider getting into as a way of giving back to the society, incorporating it in your business, like diversity, equality in your business. So yeah, so these are I'm just mentioning what futuristic program is about. We look at all these things. We look at how you position yourself, how you get involved in sustainability issues or sustainability as a business, and these are some of the things that we talk about in depth. Then finally, as we close this video, we're going to look at the future of work. So today I usually take my time to look at what's happening. So today in the Business Daily Africa, there was a publication that was made, so I'm just going to read through it real quick. Despite holding prestigious MBA degrees, many graduates in Kenya and globally struggle to secure meaningful employment. This trend highlights a disconnect between academic qualifications and the practical skills demanded by today's job market. So there's 2 points. Evolving employer preference. Industries such as consulting and technology are increasingly valuing technical expertise over traditional managerial skills, leading to a decline in MBA hires. Then we have educational system misalignment. The current higher education system often emphasizes theoretical knowledge over practical skills, resulting in graduates who are less prepared for modern workplace challenges. So these are just some of the things that I've learned today, actually. And these are not things that are new. They will always be published day in, day out. So one thing that I mentioned in my previous video is the fact that I was really reliant on employment getting started. I never thought I would even run my own business. But the thing that I learned after now getting employment is that maybe this wasn't for me. I was seeking out better. I was seeking out more. And that, so the thing is, you have to take matters into your own hands. If you know that you can offer more to the community, it's your time. If you can offer more to society and you feel like you can do more, then you can do more. Let us not cling on to outdated skill sets, or rather outdated ways of doing things. So initially, and I get this a lot, there's a lot of people who would tell me, Diana, you need to, take it easy and all that. Finally, I'm just going to say this because I'm just someone who's very honest and very transparent in what I do. The older generation has 2 sets of people. This one set that is open to innovation and is open to the new way of looking at things, the new way of running a business. But then we have this larger population that is closed up. That is, you need to go the direction that I went, that you need to suffer the way I suffered for some reason, that you need to just follow the system. If the system is broken, if the system has to be improved, let's accept that it has to be improved. We cannot say that we still want people to leave school and get a job and become successful. That is not working. It's not working for so many people. For me, I used to be 100% for, yes, education, but now it's not that I'm saying let's scrap off education. It's not that I'm saying education does not have a place in this society. We're just saying there's need for improvement. There's need for things to change. Theories will not really help us. Theories are good for the foundational basis. But the thing also that I've learned is that even with theories and with all this shift that we're having, some of us don't even take the initiative to do personal growth for ourselves. So that there's so much that can be learned in the internet. There's so much that can be acquired, so many new skills that can be learned, but we don't want to do it. We will think it's a fraud or something. They're trying to con us. We don't want even to pay for courses. We always say, we like to be the victims and say, school does not teach financial literacy. School does not teach all these things. And this I'm also getting from one of the good content creators that I was privileged enough to follow earlier on in my entrepreneurship journey, that he talks about this a lot of content online, but we still don't have the ability to stick to what we want. It's easier to be a victim. It's easier to say, you didn't have all this, but it's so hard for you to commit and say, yes, the system is broken and it's upon me to try and create something for myself and for others. but I know it's not going to come easy. So we have two groups, not even in the older generation. Let me just say we have two groups of people. We have people who appreciate novelty, and we have people who do not want to think about novelty, do not want to change the status quo, and they are committed to ensure that the system remains broken. Because if they went through that system and they suffered, then they want everyone else to suffer through that system. It's that crabs in the bucket analogy, where we can't change because this worked for many years ago, but we're forgetting that we still have so many years ahead of us. So if we do not innovate, if we do not create sustainable businesses, if we don't teach people on how to eventually create sustainable businesses, because in as much as you want to say we are going to change the curriculum, we're going to change all these things, it still goes down to an individual. Not everyone was built to do these things. Not everyone was built to become an entrepreneur. Not everyone was built for any of these things that I'm talking about. But what I'm saying is this: if you are fortunate enough to get the privilege that you have at this point in time, to access all these materials, to access courses, to access programs that can actually empower you to go to the next level, I don't see why you're holding back. I don't see why you're not preaching about it. So the bar has been raised. So we are moving from just picking what was already there, and we're creating new value. We're creating value, we're packaging new products, we're packaging new services, we're bringing newness to the market. And this is only achieved through self-development, and this is only achieved through the process of collaboration. When we're talking about the shared economy that I mentioned, is that we can come together as different individuals and different companies to work on a bigger project that can impact, say, the community, that can create a huge impact and a ripple effect thereafter to bring about change or bring about economic growth within a space. So that's what the futuristic or the future of work is about. So learn to sieve through content from mentors and social media. So that is just, in essence, learn to sieve as much as you can. There are certain things that are outdated, much as people want to remain relevant, because I've seen that a lot. People would want to remain relevant as the experts in the industry, but still, if you're not following an expert who's also committed to following the changing tides, you might really miss out on so many things. We're looking at customer behavior changing every single day. Look at customer behavior, look at customer insights, and then look at customer foresight. What will they be doing in, say, 5 years? And what will be of value, or what will matter in the next 5 years? So be good at what you do. So that is the future of work. We're seeing a lot of layoffs. We're seeing AI coming into play. And sometimes we're scared that AI is going to take over the world and you're going to be rendered useless. No, you need to be good at your work, because at the end of the day, AI is a machine that requires someone to operate. So if you're not that person who's very versatile and very good at adapting to the changing tides, by being good at what you do so much that you can even know how to innovate and know how to adapt to the changing tides, you're going to be left out. Seek better, build a personal brand. Build a personal brand. Just like in business, we've talked about building a brand around your business. It's also good to build your personal brand every single day. Be intentional about it. Learn how it is done. It's not just about posting content. There's a difference between an influencer and a professional. Learn these things. Learn how to position yourself. Learn how to be ready for opportunities. Learn how to understand the industry that you are in and how to position yourself. Yes, that I mentioned. So we've come to the end of this video. I'm happy that we've come to the end of it. So everything that I've talked about, including sustainability of your business, how to run your business, how to build a personal brand, how to build your brand in your business, all these things are looked at in the futuristic program. It's a 6-month program. 6 months of intense discussions, intense delving into top 25 countries and looking at experiences, looking at local perspectives, and seeing how we can also put ourselves in the map. It's not just 10% that should be left for businesses. It's just then upon us to put our businesses out there. But yeah, so I appreciate you for spending time with me today. I'm inviting you to register for the futuristic program so that we can get started in February. We are always recruiting, so because it's 6 months, if you miss out on the first 6 months, it's also good. You can get started, get into the waiting list for the next one, or we can see how we can have different concurrent programs within the first 6 months. So that's how we're hoping to run it. So I'm inviting you to like this video, subscribe, hit the bell, share it with your friends. And also I'm hoping that if you need also help with positioning your brand in this light that we have talked about, any of them, we are also supporting businesses and small businesses, large businesses, personal brands. We're also for that. We are also in that business. So feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to just contact me. Let's get into a Zoom call. See if we can fit first, then we can proceed to work together. So I think I have talked so much that I'm running out of saliva. My voice is almost just disappearing because of talking too much. I'll stop here. Thank you so much for affording me this time, and I will see you in the next video.